link here on Joy 99.7 FM and also live on YouTube, serving a global audience. We're glad to have you along the way as we all go into what will be an amazing weekend of sport all over. Well, it is the Africa Cup of Nations finals, and later today we will be having that much sought after game between Nigeria and Egypt. Of course, the conversation about third place games we're going to be having here again and again, and we'll be looking ahead to Senegal and Morocco, who are now the two most followed teams on the African continent for very obvious reasons for making it thus far. Who sets the records? Who takes away the bragging rights? We're going to be finding out right here. You can send in your messages. Remember, 055-1111-997, 055-1111-997, as we look into the conversations. Earlier in the week, we had, the set of semi-final games, which had Ghanaian interest because of referee Daniel Laye. But some section of fans were not too happy with him for some calls that he made during the tournament. Others thought he performed brilliantly. Well, all of those conversations are here on the show. Well, featuring here today, this afternoon on the Joy Sports Link, are a set of strong gentlemen who have been, focusing on the AFCON for the past couple of weeks. One of them is George Attoh Jr. of the BBC. George Attoh Jr. of the BBC, leading commentary for the African operation, for English operation for the games at the AFCON in Morocco. George Attoh Jr. previously and currently with Joy Sports as well. And also Sichofe Achirim also joining us. And of course, we've got some contributions coming in from Nigeria as well. We'll be looking at it from that perspective and bringing that perspective to the game as well. And so Chris Maduesi will be joining us here as well. And then, of course, we'll go down to the ground where Tahiru Fentuo, our man covering the tournament, will be bringing us some perspective as well. So, gentlemen, thank you so much for joining me today on the show. For George, for Chris, and for Situ Fatrim. Hi, how are you doing? And good to see you here on the show.
I hope you can hear me now.
Yes, George. Congratulations on landing that role for the AFCON. It couldn't be any better.
Yes, it couldn't be any better. And when I spoke to Fent early this morning, I told Fent, if it's not calling me, I have to come, because I always try to remind myself of how special Nat has been in my career. And for many who don't know, Nat was the main guy who did the scouting to get me from Radio Universe to Joy FM for the whole dream to start. And I remember as well, on those Guinness Football Challenge travels, after Nat saw me do emceeing for the first time, he thought I was good enough to go on with the team for the final until he came to join it. So I had the pleasure of working with Nat, Coach Tahiru, Timothy Mensah, traveling around the country. That would be about some, maybe 8 weeks. I got some good money along the process, but of course, great opportunities. And Nat will come for me again at Radio Universe, and I got the chance to work. So Nathaniel Attoh is a very special figure in my career. And anytime he calls on me, I have to show up. Yes, sir.
George, congratulations again. Proud of you any day. An amazing time. And, time flies so fast. Time, time runs faster than we all think. And Tahiru Fentuo is immersing himself in the code. And we the Ghana people say, Charlie, I say your body, I mean still. Fent, good to see you again. Yeah, Fent, can you hear me? Yeah, Fent, you can hear me loud and clear, right?
Sorry. Yes, I can hear you.
Great stuff there. Yeah.
Okay. I don't know why the sound seems like it's echoing on my end, but it is fine in your end. That's fine. Yeah. It's like I'm hearing myself.
I can hear you loud and clear, Fent.
Fantastic. Yeah. Yeah, it's been a very interesting last with a lot of the conversation centered on referee Nathaniel Attoh and his performance in the Nigerian game. Nigerians don't exactly be pleased with how things turned out. I'm sure Chris will have a lot more to say about that.
Yeah, definitely, definitely. And this is where I'll bring Chris in. Chris Maduesi is a Nigerian journalist. He has been throwing a lot of focus on the AFCON as well. Chris, thank you so much for joining us on the show. This afternoon, later today, you're going to be in action. And, you know, the whole conversation about the third place game is also on.
Thanks for having me. I think it's tomorrow that we are going to be in action, that Saturday in Casablanca, where Nigeria will be playing against Egypt in a match no one wants to play. But as a Nigerian, I think I'm glad with the run of the team so far at the tournament, going this far, holding the host nation up to 120 minutes and, you know, making Nigeria proud. Yes, we would have loved to have defeated the host nation, but I think Morocco wanted it more and they deserved the victory.
Okay, let me go to Sicho for his opening comments. Sicho, an amazing tournament so far, without a doubt. I mean, the pitches, I remember that on the AFCON Today show on Joy Prime, there's been a lot of conversation about the quality of the pitches and how players can comfortably slide and do the slide celebration. Sicho, I know you are very big on celebrations as well. And, you know, the fact that we can have good technology on the continent that sends a message to the world that, look, Morocco is already ahead of time, you know, if there's anything like that, for co-hosting the World Cup.
Absolutely, Morocco have shown that they are ready, they are capable, they've got what it takes to host the World Cup. Look, it's the best in terms of infrastructure that we've seen in any AFCON anywhere. And I would not only situate it to only AFCON, it can extend it to other major factors. I think if we would look at America, the infrastructure we have here in Morocco beats a lot of their competitions that we've seen. And so, yeah, they've shown finally that Africa has got a country capable of hosting tournaments like that, and they are ready for the World Cup. Even when it comes to how they've deployed security across the competition, the US have come to study how they are operating in terms of security in the competition. That should tell you that Morocco are operating at a very high level. I just speaking highly about how it influenced his career, and I started laughing because when I was very young, I think when I was just 3, you were hosting Spelling Bee. I came for Spelling Bee. I didn't necessarily progress that far, but I saw Nats and the way he was, you know, fluent, the way he spoke, the way he dressed and everything. And I always went on. Oh, it's true. That's why I used to drive some Jeep. I like.
That's true.
Jeep like that.
Hey, Charlie.
It's all that.
Today.
But we'll talk about it later.
Of course.
Yeah, I just wanted to keep that one in. But back on Morocco. Look, they've set a standard for every other African country that will be hosting the AFCON. And I must say that I am not jealous of the Eastern African bloc, Uganda, Tanzania, and Kenya, because they've got the work cut out for them. They've got to match and even better what Morocco have done. Bakande, it remains to be seen.
All right, now let's throw the focus immediately on, just before we go to the third place game and then eventually the final, gentlemen. Let's now talk about that game. I mean, the reason why referee Nathaniel Attoh seems to be trending, and I'll begin with you, Sicho. Look, was it such a big deal? Was it much ado about nothing? I was having a chat with someone who is neutral, not Ghanaian, not Nigerian, and he said, listen, why are the Nigerians blaming Nathaniel Attoh for they had the opportunity before the penalty spot. They could have nailed it, and they lost it. What is it really? Are we being too hard on him? Are we giving him the right criticism? What is it? Tell me from your perspective.
I think we need to introduce the nuance to this conversation. The nuance is Ghana-Nigerian football rivalry dates a long way back. And the moment you've got a Nigerian referee officiating a high-level game like a semi-final of the AFCON, there is a tendency for Nigerian football fans to feel like, that is not a choice we would have wanted. And that's not necessarily because they think the referee would straight away be against them, but they are football fans who would think that way, right? So we go into the game and there's already prejudice. People have already made their minds up about the referee. So whatever happens in the game, they're going to lean on it. Unless Lai was going to get every call 100% right, which is, in my opinion, impossible for any referee in any game, right? It's highly impossible. Here's the thing. There are calls that referees will make that are subjective calls. So you have an argument to say that should have gone the other way. The game should have continued. That shouldn't have been a card. It's a subjective call. It doesn't mean your choice is right. It doesn't make the referee's decision wrong. It's only a decision that you can have a conversation about. So all subjective calls from the referee was subjected to unnecessary scrutiny and the blame that the referee deliberately gave it. So I ask people, so what are those calls that you think that the referee made that went against Nigeria big time? So they told me Calvin Bassey. And I'm like, okay, now let's analyze it and take away the referee. First of all, Brahim Diaz grabbed the shirt of Calvin Bassey. But Calvin Bassey is in control of the ball. He's not going down. He's still standing strong. If Calvin Bassey goes down, I think the referee gives a foul for Calvin Bassey. But Calvin Bassey is still in control of the ball. Unfortunately for Calvin Bassey, unintentionally, he flicks his right arm, his left arm, I should say, and he catches the face of Brahim Diaz. The rules are clear. That is a foul and a yellow card for Calvin Bassey. Even if the referee was going to give a foul for the pull on Calvin Bassey, and Calvin Bassey still flicked the arm and he caught the face of Brahim Diaz, it's still an offense the rule has clamped down on. So people make that exclaim like, let's go into the detail. Now, again, they'll tell you there were some fouls that were soft. Maybe they were soft, yes, but they were subjective. So I don't think that Daniel Lai had a 100% game, but I don't think he had a terrible game. I think he was a decent referee. But the prejudice that has been set going into the game meant that every decision he made was under heavy scrutiny.
Amazing stuff. Let's go to you, Chris. Chris, I mean, Nigeria was at the receiving end of all of this. Eventually, it didn't go well for Nigeria. I think that Nigeria, held out their own. But of course, when it came to the penalty spots, they didn't just perform and eventually have to settle for this third place game. Your thoughts as well about the refereeing and that conversation around it. Anything we should be concerned about, or it's one of those days?
Before the match, I did give the referee a benefit of doubt. I spoke to a few Ghanaian journalists, and I said, if you're good enough to referee in a match of that magnitude, then why don't you get the chance? But being pitch side and seeing some of those calls, I felt like he was not really up for that kind of match. It was a semi-final match at the AFCON tournament, and I feel like the referee was not up to standard. I am not trying to call him out, but I think he was, if I'm to rate him, just 40 over 100. And this is me being benevolent with my foreign message. I think Nathaniel Attoh had a job to do. He didn't do it so well. He probably also got stuck in the atmosphere of the stadium because that stadium could have consumed even the best. So I think he could have done much better. We talk about the early yellow card for Calvin Bassey, which kind of like took off the momentum from Nigerian side, like they were playing on an edge, and I don't know, maybe he can get better, but from the Nigerian side, I think the referee could have done much better.
George, you have been running commentary on these games. You've seen the action at close range. I saw a video of a Nigerian fan a couple of days ago who met Daniel Lai in the streets and was like, oh, yo, and he's Nigerian. He's like, guys, Charlie, I'm not, yeah, I know we're not very happy with him, but, And then Daniel Lai said, oh, well, this is football, and that's how football goes sometimes. Anyway, George, from your end as well, how do you perceive all of this?
Sure, to be fair, I was on that game. I ran commentary on the Nigeria-Morocco game, which was the second semi-final. And to be fair, I think perception plays a huge part when it comes to referees and when it comes to the game. So coming into the game, there was so much in terms of the analysis about what a Ghanaian referee could possibly do to a Nigerian ambition. And also because Ghana wasn't in the competition, Daniel Lai became top news in Ghana and became top news around the world. I guess if the Black Stars were the semi-finals, Daniel Lai will not be the top news item. So Ghanaians were kind of celebrating a referee being at the semi-final of the Africa Cup of Nations after a long while. So it really brought him up to the fore. The talk was about the referee rather than Nigeria and Morocco. I agree there were some calls that could have gone to Morocco, maybe could have gone to Nigeria. But on the day, I think Morocco were the better side. I've seen Nigeria play, and I was one of those who said, this team is looking really, really good. They have momentum. The attacking trio of Akko Adams, Lukman, Victor Osimhen, Onyeka, they looked very, very good. But Nigerians will be first to tell you that their team didn't quite click on the day. Akko Adams was off. Calvin Bassey was still a great guy. I'm here to still understand how that yellow card psychologically knocked him, because I thought he still had a good game. And if he wasn't in that game, I don't know what would happen. But Morocco kept on attacking and attacking. So can we pay more attention, I think, to how Morocco have played a very good game against the West Africans? We saw the game against Tanzania. We were worried about their game against Cameroon. But they had that press. They leave you to play in your half.
Yeah, and George, before you continue, you've made a very important point, because like I said, I've had a few conversations about this particular subject, and there are people, and there's somebody who said, look, while we do all of this, let's not take the credit away from Morocco and what they have done in terms of getting that win.
Don't take it away from them. I'll give Chris a quick reminder of a game in which I thought the referee cheated for Ghana heavily. Guys, let me take you to the 2013 Africa Cup of Nations.
Yes.
Africa Cup of Nations that Nigeria won.
Indeed.
I thought the referee did everything for us to beat Burkina Faso, including taking Jonathan Petropa off. But if you were good enough on the day, it doesn't matter the referee. It went to penalties and Burkina Faso beat Ghana.
Exactly.
In 2013, Nigeria beat Burkina Faso to win it.
Yeah.
So I can understand when you have a perception that the referee is against you, sometimes the referee may be against you, but it's up to what you do on the pitch. So Nigeria didn't do a lot on the pitch. Against Cameroon as well, Cameroon didn't do a lot. So Morocco have mastered the art now of disrupting the play of the West Africans, who are usually physical. And they've been able to do this over 2 games. So it'll be interesting how they go about this one against Senegal. And Nigeria had the chance. It was a penalty shootout. They even had the advantage because Morocco lost first. Bruno had a chance when the goalkeeper was flying to the right, and he decided to kick the ball to the right as well. I can understand the referee may have fallen beyond or below your expectations, but over the 90 minutes, 120 minutes over penalties, let's face it, Morocco were the best side, or the better side, and they deserve to go through. I know Nigeria will come strong again.
Very well. Fent, what's the way forward? I mean, because here in Ghana, there's a lot of focus on the faces who appear when the team is not playing. I mean, in previous years, we've had an Anthony Bafo carry the flag of Ghana high all the way to the final when the Black Stars failed to go beyond the group stage in the 2014 FIFA World Cup. And in this tournament where we're not playing, we have a Daniel Lai who can fly our flag. What then is the future, briefly, before we go into the 3rd place final and then the game itself?
I think what is next is to qualify for the next AFCON. This really, like, all these other side issues are, I mean, they're a plus, but the main reason we should be headlining should be for competing at this level. So you can see everybody at this tournament is talking about the performance of their team. Everybody is defending their team, chastising their team. And what are we left with? Defend the referee. That sounds sad. So I think ultimately not. We need to get back to the AFCON. And the good thing is yesterday we had an audience with the GFA president, and we didn't miss. remind him why it was necessary for Ghana to be at the AFCON. I think it was George or someone like that who said that he spent the entire AFCON telling people why Ghana is not at the AFCON, because you can't go anywhere without somebody asking you why we are not at the AFCON. Like, it's crazy, because every day, like, I've had to learn French now because of that. Ghana non-qualification, every day, like, what's this? So I think ultimately that's what we need to do. In terms of the other contributions of the other Ghanaian individuals outside of the national team, I think, as the guys have said, Daniel Lai didn't really disgrace himself. It was a game of very fine margins. And so whoever was to do so was always going to have one or two issues about the officiating. I don't think it was as disastrous as people are making it seem. He did make some errors, but I don't think it was so disastrous and so calamitous or to the point where it's scandalous. It definitely wasn't that sort of officiating or that sort of refereeing. I think for Tony Balfour, obviously, as you know, he's left that particular space, but we have other people that are, quite a number of Ghanaians that are working at CAF. Julian Bewa is doing a really good job with the media coordination and what have you. So you mentioned George flying the flag of Ghana high. George and Sichum, both of them also appear doing a really good job raising the flag of Ghana in commentary position. We've got people in legal departments and media coordination. Sani Dara is police officer at Tangier. Now he's moved to Casablanca. He's done a really good job. You have Kofi Adai has been here coordinating a lot of media activities as well. So there is no shortage of Ghanaians at the highest stage of football organization here in Africa. And I think we've seen their excellence displayed all around and their footprint all around Morocco. And their story is a massive part of the success of this particular tournament.
Amazing stuff. If you just joined us, we're live here on the Joy Sports Link on Joy 99.7 FM. And of course, we're bringing you this show from the heart of Accra with focus on different parts of the African continent, especially in Morocco, where we have most of our contributors to the show. So George Attoh Jr. of the BBC and of Joy Sports also there as a lead commentator for the key games as well. Fentu Tahiru Fentu, Joy Sports editor and our tournament correspondent and anchor. Also, Sicho Fem, Philip Achirim. What did I just say? I need a glass of pineapple juice at this time. Huh?
Are you sure it's a glass of pineapple juice you need?
No. Fent, as for that, our beverage, we'll only have to talk about it when the show is over.
Nat, are you sure you've not already had a glass?
No, not at all, not at all.
You like cheers every morning. Cheers. I'll look at you.
Oh, Lord. Yeah, person. Someone what we see is a Nigerian journalist. He's also there in the heart of all of it. We're just having a conversation and building up to the two big games. Of course, the final is the center of the focus, but of course, we're going to spend some time here on the third place game. The issue about the relevance and whether or not it should be played is something that always comes up, whether we like it or not. And so, while we're looking at the chances of both sides and what we should be looking at, we can also play around it as well. Let me begin with you, George. Nigeria have been a very, very big story of recovery within this tournament because getting this far is something many would not have expected, looking at all the circumstances, within camp and all of that. Egypt has the big Mo Salah factor. Mo Salah, in as much as possible, we're all thinking this is his final AFCON, just couldn't lift this very key trophy for the nation. But this is a very important game, which also has bearings on what will be happening next year. George?
Yeah, that's really true. I have a funny feeling that Sadio Mane will be called back to play the next Africa Cup of Nations because it's only next year, 2027. The next Africa Cup of Nations will be 2028. If Salah is looking for the AFCON, he will give himself a chance in 2027 and 2028. And I think Sadio Mane will be dragged into 2027. because all Chris's concerns will be heavily arrested, because I don't see Tanzania, Kenya, or anyone, any of the hosts winning that Africa Cup of Nations. So 2027 is open, unless my brothers from Tanzania can surprise me. But I think that's going to be a very open tournament for the best team to win. Nigeria really wanted this badly. This team has built so nicely, and they wanted to win the AFCON to appease their fans because they couldn't make the World Cup. Because we're seeing how great this team is, and we're asking ourselves the question, wait, how didn't they qualify for the World Cup? Yeah, they didn't qualify for the World Cup. So if you look at the trajectory in 2019, they lost in the semi-final to Algeria. In 2021, it wasn't good. I think they went out in round 16 against Tunisia. In 2023, they were in the final against Ivory Coast. And so they were hoping to come back and try and win it. Nigeria also have the record of playing the most finals and losing, alongside Ghana, 5 of them. So they needed and wanted to show up. I don't know if they still have the passion to go and deliver this game. I don't know how interested they will be in this game. Same thing for Egypt, with all the passion from Hussam Hassan and all those players. They even had a word from Hassan Shihata, who was in the hospital. Man who's won 3 titles back-to-back from 2006 to 2010. I don't know how motivated the sides will be. But as much as we talk about the motivation of the sides, we have to think about other players who may get an international cup because it's an extra game. Think about the money that CAF needs to be able to organize better programs or better events. And also give the commentators another opportunity to run commentary, give everybody another opportunity to go in there. So I guess if it's club football, we can talk about, let's take 3rd and 4th away. But when it's international football, I think let's allow that to go in there. There are a couple of players who would like to come onto the pitch and say, I wore a shirt and I played at the 2025 Africa Cup of Nations. Let it be.
Let it be. Okay. And so now let's look at the dynamics as well. This obviously is going to be a very tough game, without a doubt. So from your analysis, clearly we've shifted from the era where teams go in demotivated, some players don't even want to play and all of that. But now the stakes are high, just for the reasons that you've given. George.
Yes, stakes are high. You've got to play. You've got to show up. Winning bronze is not bad after all. And it adds to your ranking overall. And we know how important ranking can be as we get ourselves ready for qualifiers and all whatnot. So you can also get some goals and everything. So I guess the players will motivate themselves and go again. But they will not play near the levels they did in the semi-finals. That's for sure. So it will be a game where we go in and try our best. If we win, yes. If we don't win, yeah, let's go. I mean, Sicho spent a lot of time speaking to some of the players in the tunnel, and he tells me sometimes how very disappointed they are when they don't make it to the final. And I don't know who is going to motivate Victor Osimhen to come and be running and be chasing the ball like he did in the whole tournament. But we'll look forward to the spectacle.
Well, and so that brings me to you, Sicho. I mean, you have had a close feel of all of this, having these interactions with these, these players. And sometimes the whole energy around them can send you a very big story. But hey, when they come up against Egypt, it sure will be another set of egos at play, the history and all of that. What will be the motivation and what will be the determinant factor in getting that bronze, either way, whether it's Egypt or it's Nigeria?
Well, there's still a football game to be won. There's still a lot of money to be won as a prize gets. But there's still a lot of difference between 3rd place and 4th place. And of course, when you play for your national shirt, even if it's been a friendly game, you are motivated to wear it with pride and deliver. And so, yeah, I think none of those group of players will want to play in this fixture, but they'll pick themselves up and want to win it as well. Finish the tournament on a high, get a win in the bag, take the prize money for the team, and go back to your clubs as well. And look, we always think of the 3rd and 4th place game as not necessarily important because of how it comes about. It comes about from teams that are just ranked up to the final. And it's still, again, one of the most watched games in the tournament. It's even more watched than a lot of the group stage games, a lot of the quarterfinal games. The final beats it, some semi-final game beats it, but it's a game that still has a lot of eyeballs. It's a game that sells a lot of practice tickets. It's a game that increases your sponsorship revenue because it's an extra 90 minutes of TV content for the broadcaster. So Africa needs this game for now to rake in as much as it can. Europe might not need it because it's Europe. They've made all their money from their Champions League and blah, blah, blah. Africa still needs it because you're going to sell tickets. You're going to, the stadium is still going to make instant money. Sponsorship is going to come through and all of that. But I think now it's up to the coaches and the technical teams to go and motivate Osimhen that look, this one of extra we wanted, and we still have to go out there and complete it. It's up to Osama Hassan to motivate Mohamed Salah that we knew we wanted to win the AFCON for you, but let's go home with some bronze at least. So it's up to the technical teams, the psychologists in the team to lift the mood in the camp and go again. Okay, well, let me come to you, Samuel. I'm sure you're also gauging the mood and imagining how it is like back home. I remember the businessman who promised, that he was going to get them a certain amount of money, motivate the team with it if they made it to the final, and also was going to appreciate whichever goal was scored, for all of it. That clearly just tells us that Nigeria, as a big nation and the most populous on the continent, have a big place for football. And when it's going right, everybody gets on board.
Yes. The businessman did actually reward the team, despite the fact that they didn't get to the final of the AFCON tournament. I think he rewarded the team with about $500,000 US. Yeah, I do agree with what everyone has said so far. It's good to have the third place match, but at the same time, I don't really think it is relevant. But it's good because some players who haven't played in the tournament will have a chance to play. But I should let you know that Victor Osimhen will not be playing today, from what I understand. There are reports from the camp that he is possibly en route back to Turkey because he got injured in the semi-final. I mean, these are still reports, all right, but I don't think he's going to be playing today against Egypt. And the last time Nigeria met Egypt was more or less in a scrimmage match. Egypt won 2-1 in the friendly we played. So if we do get our second string game, I think Egypt will also, have another win against Nigeria.
Amazing stuff. But these are the days when opportunities come for other ones to be discovered and to shine. Do you envisage that there could be anything like that, where a player who probably has sat on the bench, one of the options on the bench, could get an opportunity because of the absence of an Osimhen?
Oh, yes. Someone like Paul Onwuachu, who scored or who opened the scores for Nigeria during the penalty shootout against Morocco, will have a chance to lead the line. He got a goal in the group stages against Uganda. He was away from the national team for about 4 years. Then after a good run in Turkey, he was reinvited back into the national team. And this could be a chance for him. We could also see Akko Adams increase his goal tally for Nigeria, scored 4 goals so far for the national team. Other players, I think what Eric Chell has done is try to field almost all the players he registered for this tournament. Just 2 players have not featured for Nigeria at this AFCON, and that's Ebenezer Samiro and Osman, the other midfielders. So we might actually see all the players play against Egypt, and Nigeria might just, all the 27 players that got registered would have had a taste of some AFCON action by the time this tournament is over.
Well, let's see how things go. We're still here on the Joy Sports Link on Joy 99.7 FM and also live on YouTube with seasoned journalists from all over the continent who are looking forward with us to this very, very big one. Fent, tell me about it. What kind of game are you expecting, first of all, and where do you see it tilting? Some definitely would want to see Nigeria pick that bronze. There's no doubt about that. But from where you sit, where do you see it tilting?
I think I'm more in favor of Nigeria winning. They are the experts at it. They've won it 8 times. No other country comes even close. So they seem to be a country that values that playoff more than any other team. If you remember, between 2008 and 2017, Ghana made 6 semi-finals at the AFCON, and we lost. In fact, 2 times we went to the final. 4 of them, we contested a third place playoff. We lost every single one of them, except the one in 2008 at home. So we've, unlike Nigeria, who have not lost a third place playoff match, I don't know when. They've been winning it every single time. So they've got the reputation for it. And they seem to have the better squad there to be able to field a second string team, give opportunities to players that haven't had enough minutes at this competition. Some of those that came off the bench, some of those that missed penalties, like Chikwueze and Cole. This is a good opportunity for redemption. So I just feel like there will be more motivation on the Nigeria side of things. On top of that, there's also a small issue of top scorer contention. At the moment, Brahim Diaz has 5 goals. Both Osimhen and Lookman have 4 goals each. We know Osimhen limped off injured in that game against Morocco. But if he starts match fit, he and Lookman, both of them might want to play this game because neither of them gets on the score sheet or gets a brace. There's a real chance they could finish the tournament as top scorer. So that there is another motivation there, even for Nigeria, to play some of their best players at this competition. So all around, when I look at all the motivating factors and the mitigating factors, because if you look at Egypt, I think they would have no motivation whatsoever, because this is not what they wanted. This is not what Salah won. And there's nothing to play for. He doesn't care about AFCON top scorer. I just feel like, and they don't, beyond their starting lineup, they don't seem to have enough depth in the team. So when I look all around, I feel like it's a game that is tailor-made for Nigeria to try and make it.
All right, I'll be sharing some messages with you shortly about, you know, about who you feel should go. Tahiru Fentu thinks that this could be a Super Eagles day. Let's see how it goes. Will the Pharaohs live up to it, and will they do something different? Well, we'll live to see in a couple of hours, but you're still here on the Joy Sports link on Joy 99.7 FM. Now, before we get into the conversation about the final game, which is the one, the big one in focus, Asisa Toshuala, who is 6-time African Women's Footballer of the Year, brought up a certain, point during the week, and she made mention of how Morocco seems to be now becoming the headquarters of African of African football. Now, let me just bring you the quote. Now, this is what she put on her X page. It says, the big question here is, with this whole CAF compensation to Morocco, when would it end? Awards, tournaments, and all. It's getting boring now. We need other African countries to step up. Everything concerning African football happens in Morocco, and it feels like it's the new headquarters. We can co-host with our neighbors if we are serious. Cameroon, Ghana, Benin, Togo are all next door. You can't tell me that 2 of these 5 neighboring countries can't co-host the AFCON. Well, these are her thoughts, and I don't know what you think. Let's begin with you quickly, Fent, before we go into the final game.
I just think it's been quite vocal on social media for the longest time. I like the confidence with which she boldly mentioned Nigeria, Togo, Benin, and Ghana. Probably the foremost unserious West African countries you can find. If I were at the time, I probably would have been maybe more picky in the options. So I probably would have said Senegal, Cote d'Ivoire, Nigeria, Ghana. No disrespect Togo and Benin, but Ghana and Nigeria behave like there's no country between the two of us. So, um, but I think she does have a point beyond the countries combining to host. But she does make a brilliant point about everything being in Morocco and how it's becoming monotonous and boring. Um, and she's not just the only one that is thinking this. I think there's quite a number of people that have raised some of these issues. We all, I think, before anything, we all understand and fully appreciate why CAF is doing this and why Morocco is getting everything. Because there is no other African country at the moment that can compete with Morocco. I think that's just a fact. So it's not Morocco's fault that they have everything and CAF can rely on them. So it's just what it is. So we can't blame Morocco for this. But CAF does have a duty to rotate the competitions around. It's very important to have different sides of the continent experience the competition. And to be fair, I think when it comes to the AFCON itself, with the last one was West Africa, and we had a completely amazing tournament. It was the best AFCON tournament that we've had in years. So that's, so that was held in West Africa. So I don't really see what the issue is at the moment. And then after that, before that, it was in Cameroon, and before that, Gabon and Equatorial Guinea. So it had been roaming around Central Africa, West Africa for a long time before it, in fact, Egypt only hosted in 2019 because they had to be, they had to be stopgap host after the original host pulled out. They weren't the ones that were supposed to host it. So if you're having an individual AFCON conversation, I don't think Oshola has a point, because as far as the AFCON itself is concerned, this is the first time it's taking place in North Africa, in Morocco since 1988. So it's not like Morocco have been hosting AFCON and we just keep doing it there. Now, if you talk about other competitions, like the women's, which I suspect is what is in her mind when she put out that tweet, then I can get, because Morocco are going to host it this year for the third consecutive time. That just seems a bit too much for me.
Okay. Good point there. Now, Sicho, tell me something.
Yeah.
Is it not just a case of Morocco looking into the future, projecting, planning, putting their house in order, infrastructure-wise and systems-wise, and making themselves available to take advantage of these opportunities rather than, let's say, CAF rewarding them as the legend, the ladies football legend is saying?
Yeah, it's a combination of both. One, Morocco have got the infrastructure and everything to host it. Secondly, there aren't many African countries that are interested in hosting the women's WAFCON. Because in the end, you spend more on the competition that you make. So how many countries have gone there to tell CAF that, okay, we want to pay for this women's WAFCON? How many countries went up and decided that everybody knows that women's WAFCON is there? But the truth is, so many countries want to take it. So CAF is at times even pleading with Morocco to host them. And we've seen what FIFA have done with the U17, with Qatar. U17 is going to be played yearly. And Qatar is going to go for the next 5 years or so, because they've got an infrastructure in the Asfar Academy that can host the U17 in one place. So I think that the world is moving into a place where countries need to put in infrastructure, that is easy for the confederations to track them and then partner them. So for me, I think Morocco are only reaping the benefits of their long-term investment that they've done. And I give them all the credit for that. For me, I've never been a big fan of having more than one country hosting a tournament. Maybe if the World Cup now, because we are looking at over 40-something countries, so maybe it'll be too much on so many countries in the world. But I've never Eastern African countries hosting one tournament. I've always wanted to have a tournament in one country so that when we come to Morocco, it's fully Moroccan culture, Moroccan food, and Moroccan vibe. When we go to Togo, fully Togo vibe. When we go to Ghana, it's fully Ghana vibe. But when we begin to mix it, there is Ghana, there's Nigeria, there's Senegal, there's Togo. I think it loses something about what traditionally the AFCON has always been about, where one country assimilates it. Well, in Eastern Africa, the culture might be similar, so we can say, well, in Tanzania, Uganda, Kenya, we might find similar things. But for me, the ideal thing for a football fan going to see a tournament, it's not what is becoming the norm now with many countries hosting it. So credit to Morocco, that they've invested so much and so hard that it is easy for us to take every tournament to them. And if several countries on the continent can do the same, we wouldn't be here talking about almost every tournament going there. They've done what they have to do. We are reaping the benefits of the investment they did.
Matt, I don't know if I can add.
George, yeah, exactly. I was coming to you, actually. Yes, yeah.
I was going to say, Morocco are now teaching everybody what planning is all about. Today, we are here talking about football. For your information, they have plans to take over hockey, basketball. They're thinking Formula One. They are 5 years.
They've done golf as well already.
They've
done golf. I've covered the only PGA tournament to take place outside of the U.S. region, which is, you know, and has a total prize money of $2 million. I've covered in the last 2 years. They've taken over golf as well.
It's a big, grand plan, including even having to train officials who will be at that level to take over big positions in CAF. They are not joking. This is not by just the Football Association. This is a whole plan by the government that they are pushing in place. And it is far ahead. Anybody complains that Morocco are hosting the AFCON, like Finch was saying, the first one they hosted was 1988. This is only the second one. The last time they won it was 1976. They are only coming to the party. And you should now start getting worried because they are making it difficult for CAF to not look at them. Difficult for FIFA not to look at them. Everybody comes to Africa and they are looking for this. And Fen Sicho, you know, Chris will tell you, we knew of this plan 10 years ago, and it's now taking proper shape. So more is going to Morocco. Morocco, get ready, rather than complain. All you can do now, if you want a match, is to begin a plan. Start something that will bear fruit sometime. Because if you look at Egypt are probably hosted the AFCON maybe 6 times or 5 times. Where was Morocco at the time? But they took the time to build, plan, look at the loopholes, and here they are today.
Sam, Asisat may be, you know, making these comments today, but of course, the beauty of all of it is that it has opened up a bigger conversation beyond just saying that, look, why is it that it's always Morocco? It's now opened a bigger conversation which is making other African countries now look at themselves and say, hey, we have to start doing certain things right, just like George has said.
Absolutely. I mean, other countries have to sit up. For example, you did not mention the Diamond League that Morocco hosts every year. They are the only African country that hosts the athletics Diamond League. So at this point, I think they should be hosting everything because they are actually ready. They have the facilities and the people are very receptive. So yes, Azizat has a good point. I think Nigeria, Ghana hosted the 2000 Nations Cup that about 26 days ago, co-hosted it. We're going to see what Tanzania, Uganda, and Kenya can pull off. I'm actually optimistic about Kenya because I was in Nairobi for the World of the 20 Championships, but that was during COVID. Kenya, they have a reputation of having, you know, good hosting pedigree. The last time I was in Ivory Coast for the African Nations Cup, I really enjoyed it because it was very, very good. I think other countries should have a chance, but if Morocco seems to be the most ready, I think they should just continue getting it.
I mean, stuff there. All right, let's get into the business. Samuel, let's now get into the business of this big final. Morocco, this is a big opportunity for them. Just like George has reminded us, it's been such a long, long time. And now it couldn't have come at a better time where they're hosting it as well. And the team is also showing a lot of great quality and form. It will be Morocco's tournament or game to miss in Sunday's final, isn't it?
It is their game to lose. If you were in that stadium for the semi-final, you would understand that it was as if they were playing with 13 players on the pitch, because I have never seen a stadium bounce like that. And I was in Tokyo for the World Championships last year, and the whole ship was sold out. But I'm trying to say that I've been in stadiums that are very, very big, and I've seen fans, but I have never seen a thing like Prince Moulay Abdullah Stadium. Like, the fans were shouting from the goal even after 120 minutes. So I think Senegal are up for it. If Morocco turn up like they did against Nigeria, Senegal cannot stop them.
Interesting thoughts right there. Let's now take your thoughts, Fen, to this for me will be a very, very tough and tight game with everything that Senegal has also recorded in the last couple of years, emerging as a force in these latter years of competition. What kind of final do you expect to see? And for you, where do you see it skewing? Vent.
Yeah, I think fine margin will determine how this team goes, this competition, this final goes. Morocco have shown on one end that you don't always need to play pretty to do well. And what has happened over the tournament with Morocco is that I think they've gotten better as the competition has gone on. The early days, they seemed a bit too nervy. Even the opening victory against Comoros wasn't so convincing. Then the draw at Mali had many Moroccan fans wanting their coach out. But then they recovered well. And if you look at how they are competing on, every single, especially from the knockout rounds onwards, Morocco have gotten incredibly difficult to beat, like really, really compact. And one of the things that makes them really strong is their defensive organization. They've conceded just one goal at this tournament, and that was in the group stages, and that one or two against Mali. If not, and you look at the performance against Cameroon, very assured performance, very dominant, deserved the victory. Against Nigeria, no doubt every Nigerian admits that Morocco were the better team. And that says something, because Nigeria were the top scorers in the competition coming into that particular game against Morocco. But they only had one shot on target, and that came in within the first 10 minutes when Lukman had a shot on target. The rest of the 110 minutes, Nigeria did not have a single shot on target. That is a massive statement, defensive, statement to the performance of their defense. When you look at the fact that, Nigeria has probably the most blessed frontline in the entire competition, the most talented frontline certainly in the entire competition. Morocco managed to stop them, not just stop them from scoring, but stop them from getting any chances, from getting any openings. That's how they are. Like, the stifle and the opposition and the energy which they mostly feed off from the fans, it's incredible, because right from minute one, they went at Nigeria and they put them under enormous pressure to the point where even when Nigeria had possession, couldn't find solutions in spaces, and they couldn't locate their forward man, passing lanes were cut out. So it was a very organized performance from Morocco. Senegal, on the other hand, I think, much like Morocco, they haven't also exactly been or played superlative football. They haven't blown teams apart, but they've been so efficient and have done the job when it's necessary. I saw the game against Egypt. Not that I was surprised with the way it panned out. I mean, Joe was on commentary position, so he probably have a lot more to say about that. But you could just, obviously, I think that was a strategy of Egypt, coming and defend. That's what they've done mostly. I mean, they don't care about possession. And Senegal against Egypt, you know that Egypt did not have a shot on target until the 84th minute, which was a feeble effort of the head of Mustafa Mohamed. The entire game, one shot on target, and even that shot on target is merely a statistic, because if you see the actual shot, there was no chance of that scoring. You understand? So it was a dominant performance from Senegal as well. I'm happy because I think this is the final many people would have predicted before the start of the competition. After the start of the competition, obviously people would have started to revise their notes a little bit, seeing the way Nigeria were playing. But before the tournament kicked off, these two were definitely the two teams that many people would have picked to go all the way to the final.
Amazing.
This is for me, this is a demonstration or evidence that the modern game, especially when it comes to the AFCON, we're long past the era of talking results. The best team will always find their way to the top. These are the best two teams on the continent. They've shown it. They've reached the final. It was never going to be a shock. You can't just wake up, come to the tournament, come and cause any upset. That era is long gone. This tournament, even from the quarterfinal stage, only one team in the last 8 had never won the AFCON. That was Mali. Every other team in there was a big boy.
Well,
that had won the AFCON in the not too distant past. So you can't just. So the AFCON is no longer a competition where you can just waltz in and think you can cause any shocks or surprises. The ones that have planned, that have a structure, they are the ones that will keep going to the very top. With Morocco and Senegal, this is the peak of African football. This is the best final we could have asked for. Number 1 versus number 2. Literally, very little to separate the two teams.
But now they are par.
Senegal, they played every game in Tangier, and they literally made that place a home. This is the first time they will play outside of their comfort zone.
Whether or not that could prove something will be another question indeed.
Just like what I wanted to say is that every country that has played at the Prince Moulay Abdallah Stadium against Morocco has had something to say about the impact of the final. I want to see how that affects Senegal or otherwise.
All right, let's take some final thoughts. Let's begin with you, George. George, I'm wondering what kind of game you'd want to see both sides play, looking at their disposition and how they have executed their play, over the course of the tournament. What kind of game do you want, for instance, to see the Moroccans play? They have the fans solidly behind them. Of course, there's a very big disparity when it comes to the spread of home fans and visiting. What kind of game do you also want to see Senegal play?
Of course, I expect that Morocco will continue what they have been doing against West African sides. They'll be looking at pressing when they have to press, especially when you cross the halfway line. Senegal is slightly sophisticated when it comes to comparing what Cameroon and Nigeria offered. We've seen Senegal firing some shots from 25 yards or 28 yards. So Senegal would not be too concerned about trying to pass the ball deep into the penalty box of Morocco. They'll also try some shots as well. So their attack is kind of different. And the blend of the Senegal team, you've got youngsters, you've got players who are just about in their 20s, and you've also got some very experienced players. Like Sadio Mane's contribution to this Senegal team is unbelievable. Very sensible passes, dangerous defense-splitting passes, and he's able to choose and pick the moments like he did against Egypt when he scored the goal. He has got that third eye. However, Morocco will be another one to go to. I mean, was it Sicho or Yao Fence I was telling? After the game between Nigeria and Morocco, when I woke up silently, I was hearing in my mind, in my ears, I'm not in the stadium, I'm at home in my hotel, but I was hearing, oh, the Mama Grape. It was just bouncing in my head. I'm like, this is it. They are going to be singing this one, chant it on to make sure that they win. It's the reason why I'm slightly thinking that Morocco may do it. Their fans may just push them over the line. It could be an extra time situation. It could be a penalty situation. Because both sides have a very good defense, and I don't see any of them conceding. We may have to go to the lottery of a penalty shootout to do it. But Morocco have been praying for this dream, and it may just happen. But one thing that's they should be worried about, do you see the look on Sadio Mane's face after winning the game against Egypt? He kept on telling everyone, calma. The final is the main thing. So this is a special one.
Well, it sure will be something else. Sicho, George has told us something that I also feel will be likely. He says that we should expect that this will go beyond regulation time because of how potentially tough and tight it will be.
Yeah, potentially it could, because Fento even said it, that there is very little between these two teams. And these two teams have been successful with their local national teams as well. Senegal winning champ a couple of years ago. Egypt also going to win the Arab Cup days before the AFCON started with their local team. So it's success built, and they are. When you look at the tournament, on the side of the draw that each teams came from in this AFCON, they very much look like they were the better team coming from that side. And I'm afraid it is Morocco who have been properly tested coming into it. Because Morocco played against the other best team in the tournament. That was Nigeria. And the final could easily have been Nigeria-Senegal. Easily, because Nigeria were that good. They chose the wrong day not to play well. They chose the wrong day to have their players off. And that wasn't an accident. That was also because of how Morocco plays. When Morocco play, they have a way of forcing your attackers to play deeper. Because you have to think about Mazouari and Hakimi, who when Morocco are on the ball, can be very advanced, especially Hakimi. So then Lookman then have to backtrack a little bit. We'll be able to backtrack a little bit. And I have a feeling a similar thing is going to happen to the Senegal game, where Sadio Mane might not necessarily have a head back high up the pitch. He might also be looking behind him to try and support deals. Because you're going to have Brahim Diaz, you're going to have Hakimi down that flank. Or Mane stays high up the pitch, and Pape Gueye has to draw himself to that side of the pitch a little bit more for the cover. But the adverse effect of that would be the space it creates in the middle of the park.
Interesting.
So what makes Morocco dangerous is how they are able to mix it up. Look, they don't concede. Morocco were on a 10-game clean sheet run until Seneyoko scored from the spot, and that was a penalty. They scored from the spot. And so we can't say it's just out of the blue, they don't concede. It is a structural thing that they've got. Look, they press higher than anything in the competition. They close the ball down faster than any team in the competition. They've covered more grass than any team in the competition. So it's not by coincidence that Morocco do not concede.
Okay.
It's not by coincidence that Morocco force almost all the teams they are playing against to go into a defensive mode.
So clearly, in wrapping all of it up, this will be a Morocco thing for you, a Morocco triumph.
I think Morocco will win it.
Okay. Thank you. Thank you very much, Philip Sicho-Achirim. Thank you so much, George Attoh Jr. Thanks so much to Samuel Madresi, and also Fento Tahiru Fento. It's split, it's scattered across. We don't know how it's going to end, but of course, we begin with that big game later this afternoon between Nigeria and Egypt, the Pharaohs and the Super Eagles. Who soars higher, we get to know. And then, of course, tomorrow on Sunday, we will get to see what happens in that very big final. And so the second part of the show will be a conversation that we're bringing you. Recently, Lawrence Kweku-Bedu had a conversation with one of the potential faces who could just who could just catch the attention of the technical team of the Black Stars ahead of the FIFA World Cup. Prince Amoako is a forward with Northland FC. You do know that the big relationship between Northland FC and Ghana, where technical minds and people within support services and the football value chain have been trained. And so this is another big potential star who could just emerge into our national teams. Lawrence Kwekubedu had a conversation with him. We'll bring you that conversation right about now. But just before we go into that conversation, I've got some key messages here to read to you. This one from Kofi Asma. Kofi Asma says, this is a Senegal win. The fans in Morocco are going to go home sad. Trust me, Nathaniel. Another one says, good afternoon, Nathaniel. Thank you for this exciting show and the great analysis from all of your top journalists. Now, I think that Morocco are going to do a host and win agenda just like it was from Cote d'Ivoire. Another one from Gladys Sefa. Gladys Sefa says, Nathaniel, good afternoon. Thank you very much for this amazing show. I think that Morocco have everything it takes to do a host and win agenda, just like in Cote d'Ivoire. And the next hosts will have to, follow suit in that regard. All right, thank you very much for all those messages. So we go to the second part of the show, which is that conversation with Prince Amoako. This is still Sports Today here on Joy 99.7 FM and live on YouTube.
Prince, welcome.
Thank you so much.
How does it feel to be home?
It feels good. It's always good to be back home, especially when the family's here. This is where it all started, so it's always amazing to be back here.
I mean, away from pressure in a very brief period, how is resettling into the hotness of Ghana been?
Oh, it's okay. I'm used to this, so it's nothing too different. So yeah, it's been okay for me.
Let's get things started. Prince Amoako Jr. So many have seen already your name online, seen videos, but who is Prince Amoako Jr.?
Prince is like every other kid who wants to go out and do bigger things. But with me, mine was through football. I've always wanted to be a footballer since I was very, very young. And then I've worked, tried. Been denied a couple of times too. So yeah, it's just that I've been able to keep going and I'm here where I am now, but there's still a lot more to achieve and a lot more to get done.
I mean, that denial stage is maybe one place that everyone would have to, one way or the other, pass through or suffer. Because even in my space, I've also had the opportunity of being denied at some time. But where did it all start for you with regards to the football?
It all started here in Amasaman, Siano Soccer Club, a club that my brother used to coach for. So it was like every other kid, roll into a team in your own area. So I played there for a while, and then I got scouted by Right to Dream. I went into the academy. I cried a couple of times, so I had to come back home and then be a little used to the game, I would say. Then I went back, but this time I got my scholarship in Right to Dream, and then I've been there for almost 8 years, learning, going through the process over and over again, and then at the right time, everything went well, and then I was again moved to Northland.
We will come to, those Right to Dream moments, Northland moments. But I know a few, as young as they are. At some point, I was also in that space as well, playing football, trying to make a living, trying to make my family happy. Maybe what I didn't get is that chance to be at a production house like Right to Dream. Someone will ask, how does one get to be notified? Like, how does one get to be scouted by Right to Dream?
So it goes to a trial where you have to play and show yourself. And then I was lucky enough to play here in Amasaman. The Right to Dream scouts came over here, and then I was scouted there. That is all that happened.
I know at Right to Dream, look, so many Ghanaians who have played the game, enjoyed the game, passing through Right to Dream. Derek Boateng, Fatal Dauda, Michael Essien. At some point, we even had Masoud Didi Dramani all in the game. who saw you at that point? Do you remember who saw you, the conversations that went on, and then you moved the conversation
Jeremy
forward?
Sita. I don't think he's known often, but he's like the head scout of the Right to Dream community. I think he's the one that realized the potential I had in me when no one else did. Because when you're young, you just don't see you as who you are now, because it goes way beyond that. And I think he realized that and saw that in me, and then he scouted me. So Jeremy Sita is like the main guy that saw what I could do and what I could offer to the table.
Then the Right to Dream picture. I remember the first time I chanced on you was through a post by, I think, Vinyl. I got so interested. I wanted to know why Vinyl is projecting someone like you, because Vinyl is someone I followed from afar, liked his work so much. How did life at Right to Dream become for you, and how did you adjust to it?
I mean, it's not easy, you know, being young and moving away from the family. It's very tough, you know. But if you're a person that wants to go out and achieve greater things, it comes with this kind of sacrifices as well, like leaving your loved ones at a point where you have to focus on yourself, just for you, and then go out there and do it. But in Right to Dream, it was challenging, you know. Everyone is good there, because being scouted by the best academy and the best players from each and every country, it's just the competition is way higher. And then it was tough, because you think you're good, but someone is equally good as well. But I've always believed in myself. I've always trusted my abilities, and I think that made things quite easy in Right to Dream. I followed the process. You know, I like to learn, like to ask questions, and then I think that's what has helped me throughout where I am right now. And then I'll keep doing that. But life in Right to Dream was not the easiest, but it was also very easy, because you could find a way to make it easy. And those ways are asking questions, you know, willing to learn, adapting to the place, and then, yeah, that's how it just came out.
If I look at Right to Dream, and if I take someone like Mohamed Kudus, for instance, who has been there and done it, I look at Kudus and I see the crop of players he played with at Right to Dream. Talk of Kamaldeen Suleimana, maybe some years ahead of Ernest Nyama, Ibrahim Sadiq. Who were your mates or people in the age group around the Right to Dream period, the same time you were there?
I'm from the 07 group, and the 07 group is, I think there are people that you've actually not heard of. Some chose the school pathway, which is also a thing in Right to Dream. But in my generation, it's just, I think I'm the one that has been able to step up a little bit. But with the 07s, there are some goalkeepers, Roxin. We were in a lot in the 07 group. It was just a few people from the 07. So most of them are in the school pathway, but the people in the football are, I don't know, the likes of Roxin, a very good friend of mine, so Israel, and I'm in Malmo right now. So it was just a little that came out of it, but those are the people I kind of played with.
I think you make mention of something that not many are aware, and some would want to know. At what point does one differentiate the school pathway from making the professional life? Like, how does it feel, or what motivates that decision?
I think it comes from your own self, because you gotta know where you wanna go, and if you're very young and you're coming into the Right to Dream community, it's just one thing that is ahead of you. Oh, it's either I want to go to school or I want to play. And then with mine, it was a little difficult, because I was doing pretty good in both spaces. So I got told by some of the school people that, oh, this pathway is good for you, that pathway is good for you. And I got some advices from the coaches as well that, oh, you're doing pretty good at football. So it got to a time where it was a little difficult for me to make a decision. And like I've always done, everything I have that is bothering me, I talk to my family about it. And then at the end of the day, we come to a conclusion, and the conclusion was to go through the football. But I don't think it's like, you know when you want to play football and you know when you want to go to school. But I think the only difficult decision is when it comes to a point where you're kind of like, you have good chances in both areas. So I think it's not really difficult for other people because they know, okay, I'm just going to football, and others know I'm just going to school. It's just difficult for those ones that have like a bigger chance in both areas. So it was that with me. And then, like I said, I spoke to my family about it, and then we made a decision, and then I chose the football.
The parents bits, or the family bits, if I should put it that way. Not everyone is in support of leaving behind school and then like wanting to become a footballer or trying to delve into sports. How was it received by the family growing up, knowing your interests? How well were the family behind you as it went on?
They were pretty supportive. But that was like very later in the conversation. My dad used to have a problem with me going to football because my education was dropping a little bit, you know, because it always became about football. And then it got to a time my dad asked me to actually start playing, and I did. But then my older brother that knows the love and the thing that you get from football, he kind of convinced my dad, which I don't know, I think he's pretty convinced now. But with the early stages, he had a problem with it. But he did the convincing most of the time, and then I started playing, and then 6 months after the convincing and everything, I was with the Right to Dream and everything, and that's where they came in. And then he had a clear vision that, okay, that is actually going to happen. So he just tried to stay supportive as possible, and then I think they've done that pretty good with now, so yeah.
Yeah, for someone who had opportunity at Right to Dream, one thing I always associate Right to Dream with has to be, and for the right reasons, has to be the Gothia Cup. I think it was the first moment of interest I got as far as the academy is concerned. How was it for you playing in that competition, and what, as a young footballer, what does that opportunity mean for you?
It means a lot. You know, different culture, different teammates. I was the youngest in the squad on my first go there, so it was very different knowing that, oh, you're going to be on the bench, you know. But then I didn't care about that. The moment is I cared about the traveling, you know. I cared more about how the environment was. You get to meet different people. But it's nice to get to see all these things, you know, get to experience the life of going into the verge of becoming a professional footballer. So I think that's a very good exposure for, it was a very good exposure for me. I got to see a lot more to myself than I thought I was. And then, yeah, that helped me a lot. But the Gothia Cup is probably one of the biggest youth tournaments in the world. So it's just amazing to be a part of it.
Look, and then again, there was this bits, the Adidas bits. And anytime I have seen Adidas bring on someone, it's a huge personality. Maybe the younger ones have not been brought or have not been given that limelight yet. But when I saw that, I was like, yo, what could we be having on our hands in the next few years? And I remember having a conversation with you and even getting some of the images of the photo shoot you did. How did it all happen? Because you were still coming up, if I should put it that way.
With the Adidas thing, it came on my first Gothia Cup, and that was like me playing the last 5 minutes of almost every game.
You're kidding me?
Seriously. I was 15, 16 by then, so it came, and I had an agent by then. My agent texted me, was like, oh, there's this Adidas sponsorship that is being offered to me, to you, so what do you think about it? I was like, well, is this a question you're supposed to ask me? Because I barely played. Like, I didn't even get a chance to even show myself. So I was just focused on the winning part of it, because we won that tournament in that year. And then I spoke to my dad about it. I was like, oh, this is what has come. My dad was like, wait, what? They actually don't understand the sponsorship thing, because they think they give me free stuff and then they don't take anything in return. and they have to pay me. So my dad was like, wait, what is happening? So
I mean, that's reaction is just like what everybody will also ask.
Yeah, it was like, what is happening? Why would they give you free stuff and not literally get anything from you? All you have to do is to let them be recognized, like tag them in posts and everything. And I was like, yeah, I'm pretty confused, just like you are. So we took it, and then I've always been a fan of Adidas too. So when it came, I said yes straight away, and then it's just what it is now.
I mean, I don't know how to describe that moment, because as of you at 15 and Adidas contacting you was quite big. I mean, it's still big, because that is a great brand if you're talking about, I mean, sportswears and I mean any other thing related. But then again, it is you. It is Prince Ambako. Who am I not surprised, because you've been brought into the limelight at a very young age, where you had people talking about you. At what point again did you see yourself going to Northland? Because look, many people have come through the Right to Dream Academy, but not everyone has had the opportunity to go through Northland from Right to Dream. Where did it all start? Where did it become a possibility?
I think with the Northland and Right to Dream thing, what people don't get is, before they see you as who you would become, like they've already seen in the past that this is who we're gonna have in the next 5 or 6 years. And what people don't know is I got offered a pre-contract at 15 with Northland, but then the negotiation with my agent in Northland took a little longer.
Wow.
And then I signed with Northland when I was 16, and then had to develop again for like 2 years. So you can play like with the rules and everything. You can play in Northland when you're 18, because I was born and raised in Africa. So that's the rule with. So I signed a pre-contract, and then I knew I was with Northland for the next 2 years. So all I had to do is stay in Right to Dream, develop a little more, and then I went to Northland straight when I was 18.
No, I have no words. But I think there's one question I had wanted to ask. At Right to Dream and Right to Dream at Gothia Cup, one thing I've realized, or one thing I've come to understand, is Right to Dream do not allow journalists or do not allow the media to put the names of the players. I mean, sometimes someone could be performing so well, but then they don't want that name to be out there. What is the reason behind this?
I think,
or what could be the reason behind this?
I think it's all for the protection of the players, because, like, again, going to the Gothia Cup is just a bunch of 15, 16-year-olds going there. You could literally say something that isn't good for the brand, and that could ruin a whole lot of things. So I think it's more for the protection of the players, in terms of like, when we feel like you know what you can say, and you know the way to put your words, then of course you can get that exposure as much as you want. But then I think with those times in Gothia, it's just different. People could mistakenly use your words for something else, and that is why I think Right to Dream is very conscious of. So that's why they actually do that.
Then the Denmark career, I like it so much because it then gives you a higher notch of limelight compared to Right to Dream, right? How was the integration like from Right to Dream, getting to Northland, and then now working your way up?
With the Northland thing, it's like Right to Dream used to travel back and forth to from Denmark to Ghana.
Yeah.
So it was like you were kind of used to it. But then I got integrated into the first team when I was 17. So I started training with the first team and playing some reserve matches with them because I couldn't play official matches. So I kind of knew the environment. I got used to the environment because I knew in the next year or two, this is where I was going to be. I already knew that. So I tried to learn as much as possible, They do different things like the plays and everything. Style of play and everything. So I had to learn a lot with that one. And then, you get used to it because you're already there, so you know the kind of environment you're in, and then you just have to keep on learning and everything else. So that is how it's much easier for us to kind of like coordinate when we get into the national team.
Then let's go to the professional career itself. At what point did you find out you were going to make your official debut for Northland? And who were, I mean, let's take the points you got to know first, then we take it from there.
I actually didn't know because the first 6 months of my professional career, I was injured. I had surgery and then pre-season. And I think through the pre-season is when I knew, okay, it's actually happened, because I came back fit, I came back training and playing official matches and all of that. And then our first match against Federicia, my coach pulled me to the side and was like, oh, you're going to start this game. And I was like, yeah. And what I love in my life is when you give me the opportunity, I would do whatever to show you that, okay, you can trust me the next time. And by God's grace, I actually talked to my family.
Exactly where I was going to. I was actually going to ask, which people did you first inform when you got to know that
I told my family first.
Challenge up next.
I told my family first. I told them how scared I was, because I hate that I've been given the opportunity and I can't deliver. I hate it. So I spoke to them and they were like, oh, keep calm, like you've always done. Just treat it like you've always played. And it actually happened. I went out, showed myself, scored, got an assist, and then, yeah, that's when I had a feeling, okay, this shit is about to go down.
Look, how hungry are you as a player to succeed?
I mean, look at my family. There's a lot more to achieve. But I actually don't like to think so much about the future, because I like to take things the way they come to me. And with the injuries and everything that I've faced, I also don't like to see myself so much high, because if those things don't happen, then it just messes with your mind mentally. So I like to take things step by step. Of course, I have goals that I want to achieve. I have things that I want to go out there and do, but we are in Northland now, focusing on Northland. It's been a good 6 months, and then, trust me, the hard work never stops.
I'm more interested in the first 6 months, because, look, it's not easy to be getting the numbers game after game. And sometimes I sit back and go through your profile. I'm like, how is this even real? You are only getting started, but how are you able to get into this momentum and then maybe, just maybe, carry the weight of a team behind you together with the help of your teammates? How are you able to do this?
Like I said, I love to learn. I love to read the environment, because it's actually the most important thing. What people don't get is the environment you are around is what actually makes you. And then with Northland, it was very demanding. There's a lot of pressure, but I also love the pressure that it comes with, because I know what I can deliver when it comes down to be doing things through football. And then, yeah, I've had some conversations with my coach about how much I am important to the team. And then I knew, okay, why not? Why can't I be a leader at 18? Why can't I help the team win games at 18? And that was what I asked myself most of the time, because it got to a time it wasn't just about fitting in and playing good. It got to a time it was about, okay, you actually have to win this game for the team. And then that's the kind of pressure I put on myself, because I love when I'm being pressured, because I perform mostly well under pressure. And then these are the questions I ask myself, because I want to help my team win games. I want to be blamed if the team doesn't win. And then I just love to help, and I think that's the kind of mindset that I go up with, because it just helps me. It's just my way. I'm not saying it's the best, but it's just my way, and I think I feel good with that.
I mean, it's almost as if you are reading my mind, because talking about responsibility, that was actually going to be my next question. They say this modern players, or this age crop of players, are more like crybabies, quick to go on social media. One thing I've picked from your career at Northland was, I think, a cup game against Midland. Out of nowhere, I get a notification that you've been sent off. Next thing I see, you're on social media you take the blame, you let the team down. Yo, bro, what's going on?
Like I said, I love the pressure, and I know how much it means to the people and the team and the people that come and watch you, pay to come and watch you. So I know when I let my team down, I know when I have to take the blame. I know where, because the game was a whole different game, and I knew so much that the comeback was one, but then the red card just messed up everything. So I had to take it, I had to step up, be the man I really was. Apologize to my teammates, apologize to the fans, and then that makes me feel good, because I know, okay, I've done something wrong, so I have to kind of own up to it, instead of just staying in and just worrying about myself, with myself. So, yeah.
First few months at Northern, how would you rate it out of a 10, and why would you rate it as such?
I'd say a 6, because 6 because I could do even more, but also not too hard on myself, because it's just the first 6 months of my professional career. Everyone would aim to do greater things, but it's not bad, but it's also not the best. So yeah, there's a lot more to give, there's a lot more to achieve, and there's a lot more things to win in the next few years.
Stephen Akwa, Caleb Junji, these two are your mates. I think there's one more, Isaka. Yeah. How helpful, and then how well have you blended with them? I mean, I singled them out because they are also Ghanaians, and they are also at the club. How well have you been able to move along with them and then help your career so far?
It's much easier because we actually all grew up in the Right to Dream Academy. We saw each other each and every day. So it's just much easier to connect with them, you know, have some good time together, have team breakfast together, and just talk about life, because we live there and we know how the environment and how much it means to these people about football. Because one day you got criticized and the next year you're on top of the world. So it's just that you talk to them, get to know each other's minds. I spoke a lot about Caleb with the national team too, how it was and everything, because that's where I want to see myself in the next couple months. So it's just good to know that someone has been there, ask questions, ask how is it like to be around these people. So yeah, we talk a lot, have fun a lot, and then just advise each other.
You're pushing me to go into the national team topic at a very young age, but I am young. I'll take my time. How is the relationship with Caleb? How big of a star is Caleb?
I think Caleb doesn't see himself like the way we see him, because he's a very